football. Central Radio exclusive.
Tight end position is the most underrated position because they not only protect the quarterback when they need to, they also make the clutch catches. Randy McMichael, we are on live with, in my opinion, the number one ranked overall tight end in this year's NFL draft from Texas Tech, Jace Amaro.
Jace Amaro.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing really well, man. Doing really well. Excited to talk to you, man. It's always, I consider myself an old dinosaur now in the air, but it's always great to talk to a young guy coming to the league because I know right now what's going through your mind right now is you get ready for it's a cliche, but it's so true. The biggest and the most important job interview you ever have in your life. And just tell me what are you doing to prepare yourself for that right now?
I'm up here in Frisco, Texas, training at API, and I've been training for the past 6 weeks, and I feel like I've taken huge strides in what I really can do, from an athletic standpoint. I feel like I've gained a lot of experience and knowledge, from not just an athletic standpoint, but, and also from the football, perspective, and then I feel like I've become a better player and just a better overall athlete and really preparing for this combine as best as I can. And I feel like I'm really ready for this. And, it's going to be a fun opportunity for me to really showcase, my skills and everything I can bring to the table.
I mean, I caught a couple of your games, and believe me, I was so impressed. I was like, this kid has it. And I didn't realize that you were a junior until I saw you declared. So tell me, what went through your mind when you decided to forego your senior? Because I decided to come out early also. What was your mindset when thinking about I'm going to come out right now because maybe your combine rank or whatever came back and it said you would probably be a first round pick? Was that that the biggest thing to you? Because maybe if you came back to your senior year, you could have possibly been a top 15, top 18 pick.
It's just one of those things where at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. And I think if it was, anything for the money or fame or anything like that, I would have made up my decision, before the season even started. I love Texas Tech University. I love, my coaches. I love all my teammates. And it really took me to almost, the last day, even before the bowl game, when I really still didn't know what I wanted to do yet. And it just, it was really hard for me to make a decision because, I play for the love of the game. I don't do this for, for fame or for money or anything like that. I love it. I do it because I love it so much, and I enjoy every second of it. And that's the way I've always been, and just enjoying the love of the competition and playing, for fans that love to see you play. And it took, I think I realized, that going to the NFL was best for me, after I had, 4 straight 100-yard games in a row in the season during the meat of our year, and when we played, teams of OU, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and that's when I just thought to myself that I think that it's time for me to take that next challenge and just really showcase what I can do at the next level. Because I just felt like college was just getting really easy for me. I was just feeling it out too much. I just felt like I was in such a great rhythm, and I was doing so well that I felt like this is my chance to really go on to the next stage of my life, and because you never know about next season. We only have one quarterback at Tech right now, and I don't care who you are, how hard you train, or how good of a player you are. If your quarterback goes down by some injury or something like that, it's going to be really hard to do what you want to do for that season. So I think that was a really big factor for me that I just didn't have enough confidence going back. Just not only on me, but just in the whole situation where I felt like if something that I couldn't control happened, it would just be too hard for me to make a comeback with that. So I felt like my best opportunity and my best shot was to forego my senior season and head to the NFL.
I would ultimately respect that right there because take it from a player who played with I don't know how many quarterbacks. That makes a big deal in your decision making, and I respect that. I respect that so much when people sit up there and say, you know what, I know what I can do. But I know if we got one quarterback, and if he goes down, we probably won't. My production might not be there because I have a comfort zone with this quarterback, and a new guy comes in, and the college life is so much fun. I'm really good friends with Wes and Lou Vasquez, and they always talk about Lubbock. They always just talk about just that is the ultimate college town. The Red Raider football team is the biggest thing down there. And the fans are just really passionate. I caught a lot of the games on ESPN, and I just see just the passion that all your fans have down there. And one thing I'd ask you is, coming into after you made your decision and you got your representation and all those things, what was the one thing that you said to yourself, I have to focus on this to be a better NFL player than I was a college player?
That's a hard question to answer, because I felt like there's a lot of things that I can improve on. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface on everything that I can do. I feel like, overall, I think that I did a really good job of playing, to a great ability of mine this past season. But I think one thing I need to work on is really just, I think it's more of the mental part of the game than anything. But I feel like that's not really a weakness of mine. I feel like, it's kind of a weakness and a positive thing, because I'm really hard on myself. I'm really hard on myself during practice, during games, during workouts, everything. I feel like I want to do my best every single day, and that's just the way I've always lived my life. So I think that, just not getting down on myself and knowing that you're going to have to play the next play, and if you drop a ball, if you miss a block or anything like that, you just have to realize that, that's gone. You can't do anything about it, but you can make sure you fix it and you make up for it the next play. And I think that's just one thing that I need to improve on. But at the same time, I feel like it's a great thing for me, because if you're not hard on yourself, you're really never going to get any better. You're never going to take pride in that you want to be the best that you can be every single day. So, I feel like it's a really, love-hate thing for me. And I did a much better job of really handling it this past season than I had before.
That's just a part of growth, man. And the thing about it, like you said, you have so much. You're going to learn so much. Nobody comes into the NFL as a rookie and know everything. But a lot of times you're just playing off just natural athletic ability. A lot of us, especially the tight end position, like yourself, you're an athletic kid who can run, catch the ball, do all those things. That's a natural thing. You don't really have to learn how to do that again. You just have to learn the nuances of the game, because it's going to be so much thrown at you that you've never ever seen. Especially when I think of you, what you think of yourself, you're going to be. It seems like you're going to be a immediate impact player on whatever team you go to, because your skill set is what the NFL is becoming in a tight end nowadays. So you're going to get a lot thrown at you at one time, and a lot of young players can't handle that. They're used to just one read. Not used to reading coverages. Who's got me? This guy's over here coming off the slide. Do I break this route off? Things like that. And I want you to tell me, as like you said, as hard as you are on yourself, that the business aspect of the game is a production oriented business. And if things aren't going right for you, one game you might catch 7 balls. And then defense comes and says, we're going to take you out of this football game. Tell me, what would be your mental thought about that if things don't go right for you one time or another? Because this is the NFL now. If you don't produce, you don't play.
Yeah, I think that if the defense really keys on you and attempts to take you out, it's a compliment to yourself. But at the same time, I've been a part of that. This whole my entire college junior season. Teams would double team me, they would back at me, they would press me. And I feel like, it's a good thing. You want to have that. You want to have that pressure that, but you're the guy on that team and they're trying to stop you. And I've always loved that, that feeling of just being unstoppable, in certain games. And I feel like, you have to produce in the NFL, and it's a thing that's about reputation, repetition and just making sure you do the fundamental things right. And I know that I'm going to make mistakes in the next level, especially early on in my career. But, at the same time, you just have to make sure that you just go hard and play your best and do everything that coaches want you to do. And I feel like you'll be perfectly fine.
That's a great answer. I'm so it's hard, because I'm an old school tight end. I'm a put your hand in the dirt tight end. And the game has evolved and changed so much. So, I know you're hearing all these things. I've been looking up things on you. Some people got you as number one tight end. Some people got you. I don't see anybody rating you lower than 3. I see everybody having you in the first round. Now, do you like? I know you read them because we all did when we were coming out. But do you actually put any merit into that, thinking that well, this analyst has me rated number 1. This one has me number 3. This person has me going number 32. This one here has me going 18. Do you ever stop and put any merit to that, or you just like don't worry about it? I mean, because in all of my experience in football, NFL GMs and coaches, they don't call these scouts. They don't call these people who put up Mel Kiper and guys like they don't call them to ask should they pick you. So while you're going through this process and reading all these different things about yourself, do you take it as like, oh, I've arrived, or these guys says I'm here, so maybe I should be right here?
I think, like you just said, the GMs don't call, these analysts. And I think it's just one of the things where, you're in the moment right now. It's really hard to not, to keep yourself not being curious and just seeing what other people think about you and what their opinion on you is. And of course, there's going to be negative opinions, and there's also going to be positive opinions. And I feel like, the people that really don't take a good look at what I can do and don't factor in other things besides just the way I played on Saturdays is that, I played with 2 true freshman quarterbacks that were straight out of high school, and I caught 106 balls. Uh-huh. And people say I'm a product of my, system. Uh-huh. Yeah, that might be true. We threw the ball a lot, but at the same time, I'm getting double teamed with a very, first year head coach, with 2 true freshman quarterbacks that have no game, not even have 6. They both didn't even start 6 games. They both only started 6 games, and they don't take in, all the little things that all the misreads that they had and all the little things that everyone doesn't put a part in. And I feel like if I was a really bad route runner, like some people say I am, then there's physically and possibly no way that I could have caught 106 passes. And that's just one thing that I feel like, it motivates me. And I love, reading, negative things about me, because, the only way you can, fix those and change those people's opinions is really just proving them wrong and showing them how good of a player you can be. And I think that I would rather much, read a doubter's prediction than a positive guy, because, you're expecting the positive things. And I love when I see negative, reinforcements of comments that people have from me. And I think that, it just gives me more of a fire and more of an edge. It makes me, it just makes me angry and makes me want to work harder and harder and harder and keep going. And I love that edge. And that's just the way I've always been. And I feel like, like you said, at the end of the day, the GMs are going to go off what their scouts say and what they saw, in practice and in the games and what the film that we watched, not that, not the TV, stuff. And you can't see 50% of what a player can do, from a TV. So I think that, once you really, watch and see me play, I bring a lot to the table. And so at the end of the day, I think that, it's hard not to read, those predictions, but at the same time, you should just stay away from it because, like you said, none of those people really matter.
Hey, that's great. That's great, because that attitude right there is the reason why you would succeed. Because a lot of people, a lot of young kids that I've seen nowadays, they come in, they feel like they're entitled because so-and-so said this about them. And this analyst said, well, I'm the best D tackle right here. So, that means I've arrived because, he sells all these books. He's always on TV saying all these positive things about me. And that makes him not want to work as hard. But when you're a person like yourself who has doubters who say, oh, well, he's not a great route runner or he's a product of a system and things like that, you don't catch 106 passes by accident. I don't care who you are. And then play with 2 freshman quarterbacks, like you said, straight out of high school. And then you put up the numbers you put up. And then, you didn't win the Mackey Awards, which I still can't believe, but you did win the National Tight End of the Year, which is a great award also. And then you're a Fred Biletnikoff semifinalist. That goes to receivers. Not too many tight ends are even considered for that award. So that just goes to show all of you're a unanimous All-American. I mean, these are things that a player who balls, and I can sit there and say, I've seen the other tight ends that are rated right with you or maybe above you, and all of them had one thing. They had, they didn't have an All-American quarterback, but they had a consistent quarterback throwing the ball every time. And I'm sure sometimes on Saturday you probably didn't know who was going to throw the ball to you. And I think that's a testament of your work ethic and not letting anything like that sidetrack you, because a lot of players get sidetracked, especially in the receiver position or tight end position, when they don't know who's throwing the ball in the game. And I'm looking at, I mean, you obviously you're a tough kid. I'm looking at all these injuries, spleen and concussion, come back, and all these things. I mean, wow. I mean, that's one thing. They're not going to question your toughness because it's right there on paper, brother. You have been through some things and you've overcome them, and it's just amazing the numbers that you are putting up because, like you said, playing with those quarterbacks and consistently putting up numbers every time. And I'm sure, like everybody plays with injuries. I'm sure you played through a lot of things, and it's just a testament to the work ethic and the desire and the drive that you have, and it's going to show up on Sundays because. That's the one thing about the NFL is the hard. It's not always the most talented people that make it. It's the hardest working people because you wouldn't be in the league if you weren't talented. I mean, that's point blank period. But the guys who work hard and refuse to settle for just, okay, I had one good year. One good year, okay, yeah, you get talked about the whole offseason, but if you don't put back-to-back good years together, then it's all of a sudden, well, what's wrong with this guy? Is he who we thought he was? And I just don't hear that in your voice right now. So let's get ready to talk about this combine now. Now, you leave tight ends. When do you leave to go to the combine?
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning. Now, I'm gonna tell you this, and I tell everybody all this. Make sure you get when you can rest, because
yes, sir.
when you get a chance to rest, make sure you rest because it is taxing. It's very taxing physical, but it's probably more mental taxing than anything because you're trying so hard to impress people, but at the same time, you got to understand that all it takes is one. And I always tell everybody, you're not going to impress everybody at the combine. That's just impossible to impress. We have the Javen Clown is probably the number one prospect. He's not going to impress everybody there. So I think that as long as you get rest and you just keep yourself as calm as you possibly can, you'll be fine because you got the hands, you got the physical ability. I mean, 6'4", 260, and catching 100 over 100 balls and 1,300 yards at a tight end position. I don't care what level you are. That is pretty daggone good, man. And like I said before, with the evolution of the tight end like yourself, you can look at Jimmy Graham and Tony Gonzalez. Tell me, who do you see yourself? Probably compare yourself to the most out of all the NFL tight ends right now?
For me personally, I don't really like to be compared or to compare, anybody to me, but, I like to mold, other players, skill set, to mine. And I feel like, from college to right now, the best, the person I watched the most, the person that I studied tape the most was, Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski, and those guys, really, I mean, just the little things that they do is just so amazing. How they get open and get freed up, even though all the teams know they're most likely going to get the ball in this situation. And I feel like that's something that's a role that I want to be part of. That's something that I've always wanted. As if it's 4th down and 10, I want to be the guy that catches the ball. And I want you to throw me the ball. I want you to have faith in me, and that I will make the play. And that's just the mindset I've always had. And growing up, in my childhood, and my parents did a great job of really raising me that way, and just being a fearless competitor. And so I think that with all the things that Jimmy Graham does, lining up that in the slot out wide, just a little. Here, head nods and stuff like that he does, it's just something I really mold and love about his game.
All right. So you were lined up, let's say maybe 80% split out wide. So do you think that you'll be able to, if the NFL team actually put your hand in the dirt and there's Terrell Suggs right there, we need you to reach him so we can get outside on this play right here. What have you done, do you think, to show the NFL that, I wasn't asked to block like an inline tight end all the time, but I know when push comes to shove, if you need me to go do it, I'm going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people get the wrong, perspective of me. And I think that, if you go back and look at my 2012 tape, the 6 game I played, Coach Turville, I did a lot more tight end, formations. I played, probably about, 20 snaps, 30, 25 snaps in line, and I did a lot more perimeter blocking. I did, more, attacking the linebacker from from a slot position. And I think that, if you go back, watch that tape and really study that, you can really see what I bring to the table as far as blocking is concerned. I wasn't I wasn't asked to do too much in the passing offense, but, I did what my coaches asked me to do, and they wanted me to be a big, emphasis on the run game. And so it was just a totally different offense. It was a totally different coaching staff. And with Coach Kingsbury, he told me, he sat me down and he told me that we need you in the pass game. We need you to catch 10 balls a game, and we need you to make sure you're well rested every single time you're in that situation. So we need you to make sure that you're fully ready to go every time we're attempting to get you the ball, because, we're going to need you this year. We're expecting you to catch over 100 balls this season. And I'm just doing what my coaches are telling me to do. And I felt like I was a very good, perimeter blocker, from this past season. And that's something I take pride in, and being a very good screen blocker. But they didn't ask me to do too much, from an inline spot and, from just attacking the linebackers and stuff like that. So I think that, it's just something that it's not something that I'm not familiar with. I'm very familiar with blocking, and I'm not scared to block. I'm not, I don't have a fear of blocking. I've always known that blocking is a 1-2 thing, and it's someone that, whoever wants it more is going to get the job done. And I feel like that's definitely a part of me, and I've always been like that. And so it's definitely something that I'm going to have to showcase in camps and in games. But I feel like I'm very up for the challenge, and it's only going to take me, a couple practices and a couple of games to really get fully down. And I feel like I'll be just as good as the next guy. So I think that's something that, is very, mysterious about me, and I don't blame other people for thinking that, because I didn't do, too much blocking in line. So I think that's just something I have to prove, on the table, and I'm very aware of that, and I plan on doing it.
You know what? That was everything you said was awesome. But I love the one thing you say. It's all about want to, and I definitely believe that. I think if you want to block somebody, all you gotta do is want to. NFL, it's want to and it's technique. It's not always about strength and who's bigger, who's a bigger guy. It's more about want to and footwork. And like you said, Jimmy Graham said the greatest thing a couple of days ago. He said, when they were talking about franchising him and all those things, he said the greatest thing he did what the coach told him to do. Coach told him line up right here, he lined up. Coach didn't want him to inline blocking, so he didn't do it. And that's the perfect thing. And that's why I don't think that it won't be held against you, because you did what they told you to do. And the way the game is nowadays, you don't really need tight ends to do that anymore. Like you always have another guy that does most of that, and then you have the tight end like yourself who does everything else, who gets all the balls and things like that. And I think that's why you will be so successful, because of how the game is being played nowadays. And I think that your biggest asset is what the NFL is looking for right now at a tight end, because I've looked at all the tight ends and pretty much all of them have your skill set as far as splitting out, being able to not necessarily be, in the inside slot, can play outside wide, play the X and the Z position, and run the routes of the route tree and things like that. So to me, I'm asking you a question right now. What was your facial expression when your coach said that he wanted you to catch 100 balls? Because I know me, if my coach ever sat me down and said, Randy, we're looking for you to catch 100 balls this year, I might get up and just kiss the man. So, I mean, what goes to your head when he sits there and tells you before the season that you're going to catch over 100 balls, and you actually did it? Because sometimes coaches say that and you be like, yeah, okay, we'll see. But you actually caught over 100 balls. I mean, you were eighth in just stats. I mean, everything is top 10, and this is out of 118 colleges. And I mean, you are in the top 10 of all of these categories. So tell me, what was your biggest, the one thing from your freshman year to your junior year? What was the incline? What made you into the receiver that you were from your freshman year, when you caught 7 passes, to your junior year when you caught 106?
Yeah, going into my freshman year, I was a very, highly recruited, player, and I had very, goal. I had, high goals of being a freshman All-American, and I didn't end up getting that done. And I'll never forget going into the spring. The second spring practice, one of my position coach at the time. I was still having a lot of trouble, with just running routes and just being familiar with the offense. I still wasn't 100%. I was confident in what I could do, and we were doing one-on-one drills with the DBs, and I just remember him telling me that you can never win a one-on-one route, Amaro, and like it just stuck in my head. It stuck in my head because I want it just made me so mad. Like they took me out and I didn't play for the rest of the practice, and I was like the third deep in the at the wide position that spring, and it just really triggered me. It triggered me to be a better player, to meditate on the game, to really just prove everyone wrong that doubted me my entire life, and I told myself that I will never let anyone beat me man to man ever again. And from this day on, a stat that my coach, Coach Morris, my position coach this past year, kept intact with me. When we ran man to man and they threw me the ball, I completed the completion was 96% of the time.
Wow! See, so that right there is off the charts, right there, man.
And I mean, I just took so much pride in, and when someone guards me man to man, I feel like that's disrespect. Like this guy is better than you, and he thinks he's better than you, and the coach thinks that this guy can guard you one-on-one. And it's just really, it's just one thing that really triggered me every single game. If someone walked down and just pretended like they wanted to play me man to man, I was like, okay, let's do it, and I'm gonna get this first down. I'm gonna, get as many yards as I can, and it worked, 97% of the time. So I feel like that was a really turning day for me, and it really just pulled me in to be a better player, and just really motivated me every single day to be the best player I can be. And I've always been a really hard worker, and until that day, I really didn't understand how to run route. But after he told me that, I studied so much film. I looked at everybody else's route. I learned the game so much better and so much more quickly because I was focused. I wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to show him that I can win one-on-one. I can beat anybody man to man in this whole country, and then that's what I took pride in through my whole season, throughout my whole career. I've always told myself that if someone wants to play me man to man, nobody can play me man to man in this whole nation. And that's the way I've always been in this past season, and that's the way my coaches put me under, and Coach Kingsbury did a very good job of saying when they walk you down, we're going to check the play, and it's going to be going to you every single time. So I'm glad he has confidence in me like that, and eventually they had to back off and just play cover 4 zone and just bracket me the entire time if they really wanted to attempt to stop me. So I felt like that was a really changing day for me, and I'm really at that time I didn't really understand why it happened, but now I do. It really makes sense to me now.
That's good. Okay. Now I'm gonna put on my GM hat because eventually I want to do that. And I'm gonna see you're sitting in front of me, and you tell me why you should be picked. Tell me first of all why you're the best. Why do you think that you're the best tight end in this draft right now, ahead of Abram and Jenkins? Because it's pretty much seems like it's just a 3-horse race between you three as who's the top tight end prospect in this draft. Tell me why you should be the first tight end taken, and tell me what makes you better than them.
I think that those 2 other guys, they're great athletes, they're great players. I've watched them play, through my whole my whole college career. I've seen what they can do. I think they're phenomenal players, and they bring a lot to the table themselves. But for me, in this combine, I feel like there's just one thing that it's unmeasurable. It's something that nobody can measure or nobody can take away from you, and that's the heart of the champion, and just something that in your veins that you want to be the best. And my goal is to be the greatest tight end to ever play this game. And I feel like if you don't want to be the greatest at everything that you do, then you're not in it for it the right reason. And I'm not just talking about sports or football or anything like that. I'm just talking about life in general. And I want to be the best at everything that I do, whether it's playing checkers or take that toe or just running around in the backyard. That's just something that I've grown up and really just take so much pride in, and just wanting to be the best and beat everybody. And you can say that I might not be as fast as everybody else or as strong, but I think that one thing I've never done is given up on, the dream that I've had. And I feel like that, that's something so big that you just can't take away from that, just the emotional standpoint, of a player. And, for me, I've always wanted to be, a champion on a championship team. And I've never, I'm in it to win a championship. I'm not in it for, the money or the fame or anything like that. I've always been a part of 3 winning teams my whole entire football career. And then that was my senior year in high school, and these 2 past years in college. And I've always, my goal was to win the Big 12 championship in college, but, unfortunately I didn't get that done. But now I'm on to, winning a Super Bowl and winning a division championship and whatnot, and just bringing what I can for the team. And I feel like, I'm a great leader. I've always been a great leader. I think that, you can't be picked to be a leader. It's something that you're born with, and just something that, a trait that you have. And I've always felt like that's always been my role. And I really feel like that's the biggest and brightest thing I bring to the table.
That's great. That's a great answer, because the one thing that I want to advise you is, when you go in, do more hearing than talking as a rookie. I don't know what team would draft you, and I'm sure you would always say, if somebody asks you, well, what team you want to go to, your answer should always be whoever drafts me. I mean, that should be the one answer that, if anybody says to you, what team do you want to go to, whoever drafts me, that's where I want to go to. Because in your mind right now, from what I'm listening from talking to you, is that your whole focus is on team. It's not about you. Like you say, you're not in it for the money and things like that, and you shouldn't be in it for the money. But when you look at that bank statement on Mondays and Tuesdays, it looks pretty good, though. That's pretty. It's pretty good when you look at it.
Don't get me wrong.
It's pretty good. Now, when you check your bank statement after a game, the money is pretty good. But I just really want you to just, and I advise this for all rookie players, go in with your ears open, because you can learn so much from just listening. Always, when you get to a locker room, always find somebody who's going to be there just to give you some pointers, because I'm telling you, it's a big difference from college and NFL. A lot of people say the speed of the game. Yes, is that because those windows are so small now. You have linebackers who are big as you are, who run like you. You have defensive ends who are bigger than you and run like you do in the NFL. So, just find your way, because obviously you're a student of the game. I can't count the number of times you said watching film, and that's a thing that you can't lose once you get to the NFL. You can't lose what got you there. And you're a smart player who studies, who reads coverages and things like that. And the coverages are going to get 100 times more difficult to read, because they're disguising. You got all this stuff, and you got DNs maybe dropping out on you. Your nose guard might flip out there. Your man-to-man. It's so much more complex than it is in college. And from you telling me that I'm studying this, that is, you're one leg up already, because not a lot of young players know how to study before they get to the National Football League. A lot of them really just come in, like I said, just on pure athletic ability. When I first came to NFL, I came in on pure athletic ability, and I learned how to be a pro. And it's the difference between, a lot of people think when you come to NFL, you're a pro. No, you learn how to be a pro. It's baby steps, because you're learning something different. Football is always going to be football, but it's at a different level when you get in the National Football League, because you're playing with grown men. There are you're not playing against a sophomore or a freshman corner anymore. You're playing against a guy who's probably been there 8 years already. And the one thing he knows about you is, I'm not going to let this kid go out here and embarrass me, because the one thing that any man does not like is especially for a youngin like you're going to be, to come in and show him up. So I just really want you to just make sure that you stick with what you're doing now, and make sure you stay a student of the game. Make sure that you continue to work hard, which I don't think you will have a problem doing, because from watching you on tape and things like that, you're an outstanding football player. Not good, outstanding football player who has all the tools to be successful tight end in this football league. You have Pro Bowl ability, you have all pro talent, things like that. But you just got to stay the course and not try and win it, be the Pro Bowler every single play. Not try and make, just be consistent. And consistency makes greatness. And I just really want to just congratulate you on your decision to chase after your dream. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope, and I don't hope, I know you're going to do well on Wednesday when you get up to that combine. Just like I said, make sure you get rest. make sure you're just as mentally prepared as you are physically, because it's going to be a grind. Those 2.5 days, it's a grind on you. And once it's over, take you some time, take you a day, just relax, go find you a beach to sit on, and then just get back to work and get ready for your pro day, man. And good luck to you. And hopefully we can get you on when you're drafted. And, we can sit back and laugh at all this, and I can give you some old war stories and get you ready for the National Football League.
Thank you. It was a great time, being on here, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's all right.